क्या हुआ सर, शुरू करते हैं। Hello, Namaskar, and once again a very good afternoon to all the viewers watching NCRT's live interactive session. This is Simran Singh and you have all connected with us through eVidya channel number 8. Besides that, you can watch the diverse programs and the live telecast that we conduct for different programs, different subjects and topics throughout the day on our YouTube channel, that's NCERT Official. And viewers, for this half an hour we have a session of science for all class 8 students. We are going to discuss about combustion and flame. In the conversation we have with us Ms. Smriti Yadav. Namaskar ma'am, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We welcome you. Ma'am is a TGT Science currently serving at Army Public School from Suratgarh, Kant. And viewers, in the live session, if you have any of the queries, then feel free to connect with us through the contact number flashing on your screens. It is 8800440559, and the mail ID through which you can reach out to us for class 8 students specifically. It is dth.class8@ciet.nic.in. And Smriti ma'am, before beginning the program for today, I'll request you to please highlight what our students have studied so far or maybe previously, and also as the topic itself says that it's combustion and flame. So how will you define these two terms for our viewers?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to discuss chapter 4 of class 8 science, combustion and flame. In the previous video, we have already discussed a little about what combustion is. In this video, we'll be discussing about flame. But before going on to the topic, let's have a quick revision of what is combustion. So if I want to tell you in easy language, combustion is burning. अगर आप easy language में जानना चाहेंगे कि combustion क्या है, something related to burning. जब आप paper burn करते हैं या फिर आप matchstick light करते हैं, that process is known as combustion. Now I have also told you that what all things help in combustion with a small activity. I've showed you that with a small activity you can identify that what all are the things that help in the process of combustion. That is your gas, that is the environment which is present around us, and especially which gas, that is oxygen, helps us in the process of combustion. After that, we discussed about that there are 3 types of combustion, naming them, that is rapid combustion, spontaneous combustion and explosive combustion. Thereafter, we learned about what fire is, how fire is started, how as an individual we can stop fire, and what are fire extinguishers. Now discussing these topics, we have discussed these topics in our previous video. Now in this class, we will discuss about the next part of this chapter, which is also very important, that is flame. Now as you can see on the screen, there is a small diagram of flame. Now going by the definition, what is flame? Flame is a hot glowing body of ignited gas which is produced when something is on fire. आप सबने अपने घर में कभी ना कभी मैचस्टिक ब्लो किया होगा, तो जब आप मैचस्टिक को ब्लो करते हैं तो आपने देखा होगा उसके ऊपर एक छोटा सा फ्लेम आता है, दैट इज नोन एज, आपने जलते हुए देखा होगा उसको, व्हाट इज दैट? दैट इज फ्लेम. जब भी combustion का process is going on and combustion is happening, तब कैसे आप identify करेंगे whether the combustion process is going on? With the help of a flame. It's one process by which you can identify whether combustion is taking place or not. Now moving on to the next part, that is structure of flame. आपने देखा that the flame has a specific type of structure. Now here if you look at the diagram on the right corner of the screen, when you can see on the right side of this diagram, you can see that the flame is divided into 3 parts, that is innermost zone, middle zone and the outermost zone. Now let's learn about these 3 zones one by one. First zone क्या है? Innermost. Now जैसे अगर आप कैंडल देखेंगे तो जो कैंडल का जब आप कैंडल को वो करते हैं, जलाते हैं, तो आप देखेंगे कि कैंडल पे हम आग कहाँ लगाते हैं? उसमें एक छोटा सा ऊपर एक विक निकलता है, उसके पास हम आग लगाते हैं. तो दैट पार्ट और सराउंडिंग एरिया इज नोन एज इनरमोस्ट जोन ऑफ द flame. Now this innermost zone is the least hot part of the flame, क्योंकि यहाँ पर क्या होता है? यहाँ पर ऑलमोस्ट ना के बराबर आपका कंबस्शन का प्रोसेस हो रहा होता है. यहाँ पर अनबर्न वैक्स वेपर्स होते हैं. दैट इज व्हाई दिस इज द लीस्ट हॉट पार्ट ऑफ द flame. Now moving on from innermost zone, अब next zone पर आएंगे, that is your middle zone. इसे हम क्या बोलते हैं? This is also known as partial combustion. अब यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा होता है? यहाँ पर innermost zone से थोड़ा ज़्यादा combustion का process होता है, तो यहाँ पे जो heat है that is moderately hot. It's more than your innermost zone. Now moving on to the next and the last part of the flame, the outermost zone, जो कि usually blue color का होता है, that is the hottest part of the flame and it is also known as the area of complete combustion. Now, as you can see in the diagram also, innermost zone is very clearly visible. After the innermost zone, we have the middle zone, which is also known as partial combustion, and then we have our outermost zone, which is the hottest part of the flame.
So ma'am, when we talk about flame, it's a general sense that comes into our mind that while burning anything, there are flames or a substance produces flames. But does every substance produce flame on burning? Are there certain other substances that do not produce either blue or yellow, any sort of flames?
Yes, ma'am. Mostly all the substances that burn, they produce flame. But there are few substances which do not burn without flame. For example, charcoal, coal, or sometimes you must have seen कि अगर wood है, wood में भी हम आग लगाते हैं, and if we blow out the fire, तो then also the wood keeps on going in the process of combustion. Wood फिर भी आपने देखा होगा slightly red color में, वो तब भी process of combustion चल रहा होता है. तो वहाँ पर क्या हुआ? Flame is not there, but it is still burning. Charcoal also, it burns without flame, and your coal also burns without flame. Same a fun fact I have for here for all of you is कि जब आप केरोसिन ऑयल और मोल्टन वैक्स को बर्न करते हैं तो वो वेपराइज होता है एंड इट स्टार्ट्स बर्निंग. बट जब आप चारकोल या कोल या फिर आप वुड को भी बर्न करेंगे तो तब आप क्या देखेंगे? दैट इट डज नॉट प्रोड्यूस फ्लेम एंड वो वेपराइज नहीं होता. व्हाट हैपेंस? इट लीव्स अ रेसिड्यू, जिसे हम क्या बोलते हैं? एशेस. Now, you must have seen this question or you must have seen goldsmiths that they blow the outermost zone of the flame for melting gold and silver. Now, can you imagine that why do they do this? Answer is very simple. हमने पिछले ही स्लाइड में देखा that हमारे फ्लेम के 3 zones होते हैं, innermost zone, middle zone and your outer zone. अब outer zone में हमने देखा था that it is the hottest zone of the flame. So जब जो हमारा gold and silver, it is a type of metal. तो मेटल का these metal have a very high melting point. So goldsmith, what do the goldsmith do? They blow the outermost zone of the flame if they want to melt the gold and silver. Now flame, after flame, if we talk of a very important topic, that is fuel. आप सबने fuel के बारे में सुना होगा. हम fuel अपने day to day life में every day use करते हैं, be it in our domestic use or in the industrial purposes. हम fuel को हमेशा use करते हैं. fuel के कुछ examples हैं जैसे petrol, kerosene, wood. इन सबको जो हम use करते हैं अपने day to day life में, so that we have they produce heat and उस heat से हम हमारी day to day life activities carry out करते हैं. That is known as fuel. Now fuel are again of 3 types. Now what are these 3 types? These are the 3 types of fuel. Now what are these 3 types? First type is liquid fuel, second is solid fuel and the third type is gaseous fuel. Now talking about liquid fuels, मैंने आपको example बताया, petrol, crude oil, kerosene, diesel. आपने देखा होगा all of these are liquid and these all are used in some of the other activities is in our day-to-day life. That is why they are known as liquid fuels. Now solid fuels, if we talk about solid fuels जो solid form में present होती हैं, that is firewood, charcoal, coal, drum cakes. ये सब जो आपने देखे होंगे मोस्टली ये सारी चीजें ज्यादातर हमारे villages में यूज होती हैं. So those are known as solid fuels. And now what are gaseous fuels? Now these are the modern fuels which we are using currently in our daily life. That is LPG, that is liquid petroleum gas, जिसे हम common language में cooking gas भी बोलते हैं, या फिर CNG, that is compressed natural gas, जो कि हमारे automobiles में यूज होती है. It is the type of gas that is much more eco-friendly than your petrol and your diesel. Now, we have discussed that there are 3 types of fuel: liquid fuel, solid fuel, and gaseous fuel. Now, how did we identify that whether a fuel is good to use, whether this fuel is ideal for us, whether we should be using this fuel or not? So there are certain criteria on which we can identify whether the particular fuel which we are using is this ideal for us or whether it is not ideal for us. Let's look at these ideal fuels categories. The first one is it should have proper ignition temperature. Now, in the previous chapter, the previous part of this chapter, we have understood that what is ignition temperature. Ignition temperature is the minimum temperature which is required by any substance to start the process of combustion. Now, it should not be too low. If it is very low, the fuel will start burning on its own. And if it is very high, then it will require a lot of effort to start the process of combustion. So it should not be too high and it should not be too low. Second part is does not produce undesirable or poisonous substance and cause pollution. This is very important. That since we all are talking about saving our environment, so we should use a type of fuel which does not produce undesirable and poisonous substances in the environment, causing air pollution. Does not leave behind much ash. That is, it does not leave behind a lot of residue because decomposing them it's a very tedious task. So should be leaving a very less amount of ash. It should be cheap and readily available. This is also very important. If it is very expensive, common man will not be able to use it. And if it is not easily available, then also it will become very expensive. People will not be able to have an access to it easily. Produce a large amount of heat or have high calorific value. Of course, if we are using a fuel, we use a fuel so that it can produce heat. So if it is not producing a large amount of heat, then it's not an ideal fuel. I'm talking about high calorific value. We'll discuss this in the later part of this slide. Should has moderate rate of consumption, which means that, for example, if I am using half kg of fuel, so it should not be like that if I am using half kg of fuel, only a small amount of heat is produced or only a small amount of work is done by burning the fuel. The consumption rate should be moderate. It should not be very high. It should not be very low. It should be easily controllable, which is also very important. It should not be, it can be started also very easily. It should be stopped also very easily whenever we need it. It should be easy to handle and transport. Of course, if it is present in one area and if it is needed in another area, it should not be the case is that this particular type of fuel can be available in this area only. Other people, other areas are not accessible to it. So it should be easy to handle and can be transported very easily. And should has low moisture content. You all must have come across this, is if you're trying to burn a wood which is moist. So it is very difficult to burn a wood which is moist. आप गीले लकड़ी को burn easily नहीं कर सकते compared to your जो लकड़ी सूखी है उसे हम बहुत ही easily burn कर सकते हैं. So the moisture content should be very low. Yes, fuel efficiency or calorific value of the fuel. Now, what is fuel efficiency? As the word says, efficiency. This means that how efficient is your fuel. Now, if you want to understand fuel efficiency, we'll have to understand what is calorific value. Now, what is calorific value? The fuel depends on the amount of heat produced by the complete combustion of 1 kg of fuel. What does this means? Easy language में अगर मैं आपको बोलूँ तो जब हम 1 kg ऑफ फ्यूल को बर्न करते हैं तो उससे कितना अमाउंट ऑफ हीट प्रोड्यूस होता है, दैट इज नोन एज कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू. जितना ये कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू हाई होगा उतना ही आपका फ्यूल इज वेरी एफिशिएंट, इज मोर एफिशिएंट. नाउ इसका यूनिट भी है. द यूनिट ऑफ कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू ऑफ फ्यूल इज किलो जूल पर kg, which can also be written as kj/kg. Now here I have a table for you. These are the common type of fuels that we use in our day-to-day life. Now here you can see that the cow dung cake has the least calorific value and hydrogen has the most calorific value. Now what does this mean? That the cow dung cake is least fuel efficient and hydrogen is most fuel efficient type of fuels which we can use. Now our scientists are continuously working on finding out how we can replace petrol and diesel with hydrogen. Now, uses of fuels. Now we have learned what fuel is, what are the types of fuels, how we can identify an ideal fuel. Now what are the different types of uses of fuel? The first type of use of fuel is that we use it in our daily life, in our automobile, cars, scooty, buses. All of these are run and on what? These all run on the fuels. Now, natural gas is used in your heating systems, dryers, and stove tops in your home. Stove tops, LPG is the type of natural gas which we are using in our home. आपके जो geysers हैं, they also have gas. So all these products, they use natural gas. They use fuel to produce heat. Oil and natural gas are also used in making a lot of products, like in pharmaceutical companies, plastics, etc. Things are used. We use to make things with the help of oil and natural gas. And coal, as we all know, that it's a type of fuel. It's a type of fossil fuel, and we use coal to produce electricity by thermal power plants, where this coal is used to produce electricity. Most of the electricity which we were using in our country, now we are shifting also, but mostly which we were using is which comes from the burning of coal only. Now,
And
since we
ma'am,
have dealt with what is
before proceeding
combustion,
ahead in the conversation, I would like to inform our viewers that we have the last 5 minutes left in the conversation. So, for any queries, feel free to write down to us in the comment section of NCRT official. Yes, ma'am. I'll also request you to be very precise.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You may continue.
Now we have seen the topic. We have learned about combustion. We have learned about flame. We have learned about fuel. Now everything has a pro and everything has some cons. Now we have learned very nicely about the pros. Now here are some cons of burning. Here are some cons of combustion. Now I'll tell you in a very quick and short manner that we all know that when we are burning fuel, a lot of harmful gases are produced, which if we inhale them, then they cause a lot of respiratory problems like asthma. If we burn coal, see, I'll tell you an example. If you burn coal in a closed room, while burning coal, it produces carbon monoxide, and it's a very harmful gas. If we inhale it, it goes and combines it with our hemoglobin. Now, what does hemoglobin do? It carries oxygen to all the parts of our body. Now, this carbon monoxide combines with the hemoglobin and reduces the capacity of the hemoglobin to carry oxygen, which ultimately leads to the death of the person. So if you are burning coal, so always burn coal in an open environment. Also, your burning of coal and burning of fossil fuels, they produce nitrogenous and sulfurous oxides, which combine with your rainwater, and they produce acid rain, which is very harmful for all the living organisms, as well as it is harmful for the non-living things on the earth. Now, due to all this, global warming is increasing. Now, you all must have heard about what global warming is. Now, global warming is caused due to greenhouse effect. Now, what is greenhouse effect? Greenhouse effect is caused due to carbon dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide is a very important gas which is present on Earth. It helps in increasing the temperature of the Earth. Now, since there is a disbalance in the increase of carbon dioxide, therefore the temperature on the earth is continuously increasing, which is causing the melting of glaciers, and ultimately which is causing global warming and increase in the level of water bodies. Coastal areas are in danger of submerging.
Ma'am, you are discussing very important details with us, but due to paucity of time, I'll have to request you to please wrap up your words.
Yes, ma'am. Lastly, I just want to tell you that why should we not burn wood? In the previous slide only I told you that since urbanization is increasing, we need to stop using wood because trees are the ones which take up your carbon dioxide and produce oxygen. So we should not burn wood as much as possible, and we should stop others also from burning wood. Now, I would request you all to come up with individual solutions of how we can stop or minimize the use of these fuels in our day-to-day life, so that there is less amount of production of harmful gases in the environment, and global warming can be reduced on an individual level.
Thank you so much for connecting with us and sharing all these insights regarding combustion and flame. And I'm pretty sure that with the part 1 and the part 2, viewers must be clear of the minute details discussed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you to all the viewers who have connected with CIT NCERT for this particular live interactive session of science. And viewers, before wrapping up this conversation, here is an important piece of information for all of you regarding the availability of NCERT textbooks. NCERT textbooks for the academic year 2023 to 2024, they are widely available all across the country. You may also purchase them directly from the different sales counters of NCERT. Also, you can place an order online for these textbooks, and in case if you would like to download these textbooks in the PDF or the soft copy version, that is also possible through different mediums. In order to explore more about it, feel free to explore the website of NCERT. That's www.ncert.nic.in. Thank you once again for connecting with us. Do not go anywhere, because next up we have our session of mathematics, where we are going to discuss about rational numbers. So stay tuned, keep connected and keep watching eVidya channels. Namaskar.